Have you ever found yourself daydreaming about swapping your 9 to 5 for a whole new life in Mexico? Well, today we're going to take that dream and turn it into a real, practical 5-step plan. Let's break down exactly how you can make it happen.
I mean, that's the vision, right? A richer, more colorful life. But to get from the dream to the reality, you need a clear plan. And that's what this is all about, giving you the clarity to navigate the official process with confidence.
We're going to break it all down into 5 simple stages. We'll start with the dream itself, then figure out which visa is for you, talk about the money you'll need, walk through the actual application journey, and finally, cover the first things you need to do once you're on the ground.
You know, thousands of people do this every single year. So what's the secret to joining them? It's all about understanding the legal side of things right from the get-go. Honestly, your entire journey really depends on choosing the right path for your situation. And that leads us to what is, seriously, the most critical decision you'll make in this whole process: picking the right long-term residency visa. There are 2 main options, and trust me, they're designed for very different kinds of people.
So, here are your 2 main choices. Over on the left, you've got temporary residency. Think of this as the perfect path for working expats or digital nomads. It gives you up to 4 years to live in Mexico, kind of like a trial period. Then, on the right, there's permanent residency. This is mostly for retirees. It's a one-and-done deal that lets you live in Mexico forever. But as you can see, it comes with a much higher financial requirement.
So let's talk about that financial requirement. To get residency, you have to prove that you can support yourself without needing to find a job in Mexico. This is officially called economic solvency, and there is absolutely no way around it.
This is it. This is the big question on everyone's mind, right? It's the number that pretty much decides which path you can take, or even if you can start the journey at all. So let's get right into the specifics. Okay, first, a really quick but super important term you need to know: UMA. The financial requirements aren't tied to the minimum wage anymore. They're based on this thing called the UMA. All you really need to know is that it's a government index that changes, and it's what they use to calculate all the numbers we're about to look at.
All right, here we go. Here's the first key number. For temporary residency, if you're using savings, you need to show you've had an average balance of around $73,000 for the past 12 months. Now, keep in mind, there's also a monthly income option, and that one requires less.
Now look at this jump. For permanent residency, that savings requirement leaps all the way up to around $280,000. That huge difference is really what separates the 2 paths and why most working expats go the temporary route while retirees aim for permanent.
Okay, so once you've got your finances sorted, you can actually start the application. Now, this is huge. You have to understand that this is a 2-part process, and you absolutely must start it at a Mexican consulate in your home country, not from inside Mexico.
So here's how it works. Phase A is your interview at the consulate. If all goes well, you'll get a special visa sticker put in your passport. Now listen, this is not your residency card. It's just a one-time pass to enter Mexico to finish the process. Once you arrive, Phase B kicks in. You have exactly 30 days to get to an immigration office and swap that sticker for your official residency card.
That second part, Phase B, is called the canje, which literally just means exchange in Spanish. This is the final mandatory step you have to do inside Mexico to formalize your residency and get that physical card. And I can't say this enough. Do not miss that 30-day window. So, you did it. You got through the canje, and you have that beautiful residency card in your hand. First off, congratulations. That's a huge accomplishment. Now the real adventure starts, setting up your actual day-to-day life. All right, one of the very first things you'll probably want to do is open a local bank account. To do that, you're going to need that physical residency card you just worked so hard for. The sticker in your passport isn't going to cut it. You'll also need your CURP number, which is printed right there on the card, plus proof of address and usually a tax ID number called an RFC.
So what in the world is this CURP? Think of it as your golden ticket, your key to everything in Mexico. It's your unique ID number, and it is absolutely essential. You can't sign a lease, open accounts, get a driver's license, or do most official business without it. It's really the centerpiece of your new identity as a resident.
So, when the dust settles, what does daily life actually look like on these 2 different paths? Well, if you're an expat with temporary residency, you're probably living off remote income, using private health insurance, and you get the massive perk of being able to keep your foreign car. If you're a retiree with permanent residency, you're more likely using a pension, you have the option of public health care, but, and this is a big one, you have to have a Mexican-plated car.
At the end of the day, navigating this whole process, from choosing the visa to the kanji to getting your KERP, it's basically the price of admission. And the reward? It's an invitation to a completely different way of life, one that so many people find to be more vibrant, more connected, and just more fulfilling.
So, we've walked through the 5 main steps, but listen, there are a lot more details you really need to know, like the specific rules for monthly income, how to bring your family with you, and how different consulates can be. For the complete, in-depth guide with all of that crucial info, just click the link in the description below. It's an amazing resource for your journey. Good luck with all your planning.